ChatGPT came out and you could hear gasps from marketers around the world. Hypothetically speaking, how would someone take over the world? Oh wait, this thing is good, and it might replace Google. Then Bing adds ChatGPT into its search engine. The marketer's gasps turn into screams, this thing might happen soon. Then Google releases Bard. Imagine chatbots in a good search engine. Hypothetically speaking, again, how would I transition my career to OnlyFans? I don't know if that's going to work. Now, to be honest, at the time of filming this, frankly, Bard is still a bit rubbish, but Google will figure this out. And this week, in an interview with the Wall Street Journal, Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, announced that Google was working on AI chatbot implementations in its search results that could help Google move away from the link-based search that it popularized. So if you own a website or market a website and you've come to rely on getting traffic from Google or any search engine, all of this is a really big freaking deal. And it all points to chatbots stealing more and more of your organic traffic. So without trying to get too hypey, how you prepare and respond to this might be one of the most important decisions you make in your career. So stay tuned, because I have a plan for you. But first, we have to recognize that us SEOs and marketers have been involved in a savage trade-off over the years. You see, Google, Bing, or any other search engine has never really wanted to send traffic, searchers, to our websites. When Google sends a searcher to your website, it kind of loses out because it can't monetize that person anymore until they come back. Obviously, Google has a near monopoly on search, but look at what their game plan has been over the last decade plus. They've been trying to keep more and more searches in the search results without going to websites. Just have a look at this. We have featured snippets. These are snippets of text that are taken from the website and presented in search results so that the visitor doesn't need to go through to the website to get the answer to their question. And Google can monetize this visitor through ads. You have other types of rich results. For example, if you search movies, you get all of this type of stuff, which is a list of films, where you can go and see them, how you can see them online, and so on. Again, all in the search results. You don't need to go to a website to see this information. Back in the 2010s, when you searched for weather, you would be shown a list of search results and you would click through to one of those to see what the weather was. Well, today you just search weather and you see it in Google. All of this stuff is well known, you've seen it, you've used it. But every one of these features, when it was added, wiped out, or at least restricted, a whole swathe of publishers who had come to rely on getting that organic traffic for their business. Now, Google doesn't even want to send you branded traffic. For example, if you search for Exposure Ninja, what do you get? You get this huge knowledge panel on the side. The goal of this knowledge panel is that you get the key information about our business, so you don't even need to visit the website. Google would be quite happy with even branded traffic staying in the search results page. Even some seemingly unconnected innovations like Google's decision to ignore your carefully crafted page titles and meta descriptions in favor of showing whatever it wants to pull from your website content. Yes, that's positioned as a benefit to users, but really what ends up happening is people can get the answers that they want from the search results without ever having to visit your website. So Google doesn't care about you or your website, neither does Microsoft. All they want is the information from your website so they can share it with their visitors and make money from ads. But this was always a trade-off that us marketers were happy to make. After all, Google was sending us a lot of traffic. And we at Exposure Ninja have made our clients millions by helping them get some of the traffic that Google didn't keep in search results through to their websites where they can monetize it. Going back to this example, this is our client. When somebody searches for this, they see this featured snippet, they click through to our client where they might become a customer, and that customer makes money. Obviously, this was a game that we and millions of other marketers and website owners were very happy to play, and we poured huge resource into producing as much good quality content as we possibly could, optimizing it for search to show up in search results so that we could stand a chance of getting some of that traffic. Or at least that has been how search has been over the last couple of decades, until the chatbots. You could argue, quite convincingly, that Bing and Bard and other chatbots are the latest attempts by the search engines to keep visitors away from your website, to keep them contained in the search results. For example, when you search Bing for "I'm bored, what should I do?", this is what you get. This big window at the top, which is a chatbot answering your question. It's got a few reference websites that you can click through to here, and it's got a few images as well. Now, this traffic previously would have gone to some of the top ranking websites on the page, and these websites likely would have built their entire business model around relying on getting some of that traffic. For example, monetizing it through display ads, affiliate revenue, building email lists, or whatever. Now though, that traffic is much more likely to stay in the search without ever visiting a website. But Bing Chat also allows you to go further, customizing your answer, asking follow-up questions, and getting more detail. In other words, we can potentially do all of our research in the search engine without ever having to click on websites. Now, searches like this are called informational, i.e. the searcher is looking for information. Typically though, the most valuable searches are commercial, i.e. the person searching is looking to buy a product or a service. So how do chatbots handle commercial searches? Let's take a look. Well, we kind of get the same thing. We get a bit of text here, and then we get a few recommendations. In this case, we've got 6 different websites being referenced. Previously, this traffic would have been split between websites that were advertising against this phrase, websites that were ranking for this phrase because they sold TVs, and websites like Trustpilot or Reviews, which were sort of aggregators of different stores. But now we've got a handful of the biggest sites linked, and that's about it. So are we about to enter a world where the biggest sites benefit and basically everyone loses out? Possibly, but you might be able to use this to your advantage, which we'll come back to in a minute. Before we look at that though, there are 3 really important considerations. Firstly, we don't know whether this way of searching will actually become the norm. Sure, ChatGPT is great. Sure, Bing Chat is great. And yes, some people use ChatGPT on a daily basis. But most of the people I talk to, even people on the cutting edge of tech who work with AI all the time, actually haven't changed from Google to Bing Chat, despite the fact that at the time of filming this, there is no AI chatbot inside Google. In other words, they haven't felt that their current method of searching is broken enough yet to change their habit, even though they have access to this new tech. This sort of habitual inertia is really important and might slow or even stop progress with this new tech. Another consideration here is that sometimes this tech doesn't really work that well. For example, if I search for where should I buy a TV from, Bing Chat is going to give me a whole bunch of retailers, which is great. The problem is that they're all US based, so I actually can't use these to buy. So if this had been the real world and I'd actually been using Bing Chat for this purpose, I would have said, okay, this doesn't work, and I would have gone back to Google. I tried this new thing, it didn't work, so I might discard this new thing and instead go back to my old habit, which is now reinforced. As a searcher, bad experience, wouldn't try that again. Back to Google I go. Secondly, the tech that we're looking at here is the first version. Is this how chatbots are going to look in 1 to 5 years time? Incredibly unlikely. Much more likely is that this is a crude first iteration which was rushed to market. All of this is going to get much better, and some of the brightest people in the world are spending their entire lives figuring out how to make these experiences better, because there is more money than you can possibly imagine riding on whoever can get this right quickest. In other words, don't bet against the chatbots. Thirdly though, this might be a paradigm shift. And what do paradigm shifts mean? Opportunities and joblessness and destruction, but opportunities. So let's look at exactly how. Before we do this though, if you're looking to generate more leads and sales through your website through methods like ranking for Bing Chat and other chatbots, you need a free website and marketing review from the team here at Exposure Ninja. All you need to do is go to exposureninja.com/review to request your free review. We'll ask you a few questions about your business, and then one of our team will conduct a free 15-minute video analysis of your website, your digital marketing, and your competitors and opportunities. And they'll put all of this information into a free plan which they'll send you, which will show you what you need to focus on over the next 6 to 12 months to hit your business goals. Go to exposureninja.com/review to request yours today. Okay, so how do we actually use this paradigm shift to our benefit? How do we make the most of this? Well, let's take a look at the search results in a bit more detail, because there are actually 2 opportunities here for your business to make the most of this. The first is that you'll notice Bing Chat and Google Bard reference websites. So I'm in Bing Chat and they've got a number of little links here, and you can see the websites that they're linking to at the bottom. This is cool. You'll be able to get some traffic from Bing Chat. Now, we don't know how much, because this stuff isn't built into Bing Webmaster Tools yet, but we've been told it's coming soon. But it's likely that you'll be able to get a decent amount of traffic from this, from people who want a bit more detail and actually want to visit the underlying website. The second way to benefit from this this is to actually be a recommended product. So in this search for best digital cameras, you'll see that there are 4 recommended products. If I then decide to do a bit more research about the Fujifilm X-T4 and end up buying it, Fujifilm has 1. So if you get your product recommended like this, you then have some of the world's most advanced technology selling your product on your behalf. If I say, what are the features of the Fujifilm X-T4? What are the specifications? Bing Chat is going to give me that information. It's going to be the salesperson to sell me that product. That is awesome, as long as it's your product being recommended. So how do you do this? How do you get your business featured in this space? Well, obviously this tech is very early days. All of this stuff is very new, and the companies themselves have been very cagey about the ranking factors that they use, either for the reference websites or the recommended products. But we ninjas have been doing a bit of digging and a bit of experimentation, and we want to share what we've found so far. Caveat alert, these are early observations on early iterations of this product, so it's likely that this stuff will change over time, but this is what we're noticing at the moment. Firstly, what seems to be happening is that Bing is choosing the reference websites first and then pulling the recommended products off them. So what we've noticed is that when you make the same search over and over again, you tend to find it's the same handful of reference websites being shown. But the products that are recommended might change from time to time. So for example, here you can see we've got TechRadar, PC Mag, Digital Camera World, Bing and Amazon, whereas in this search for the same phrase, we've got PC Mag, Digital Camera World and Bing. We've also got Digital Trends, which we didn't see in the first search. So although the same reference sites are being used, the recommended products are different. But nevertheless, the key to getting your products recommended by the chatbots seems to be to get your products featured on the sort of websites that are frequently being referenced by the chatbots. What you'll notice here, for example, is that none of the camera manufacturers' websites are used as references. They are all third-party review sites. So that's where you need to get your products featured. Okay, so what makes a referenced website, and how do you get your website referenced in the chat results? Well, this seems to be a little more confusing. Now, you might think that the sites being referenced in the chat results are by default the sites that are ranking well on Bing for these same phrases. Yeah, that's sort of the case. The referenced websites do tend to rank on page 1 or page 2 of Bing, but it's not necessarily that the highest ranking sites are the ones that are being referenced here. In fact, I actually found a slightly better correlation with a website ranking high on Google for this search and being featured in Bing Chat's referenced websites than ranking prominently on Bing for the search and being featured in Bing Chat's references. There are even a few examples where one of the sites being referenced in the Bing Chat answer was right at the top of Google, but was actually on page 2 of Bing. Now, obviously, I'm not suggesting that Bing Chat scrapes Google for its answers, although if I was making a chatbot that wanted to serve searches with the most useful results, that's exactly what I would do. But in all seriousness, I think it's very unlikely that Bing is doing that. I think what's much more likely is that Bing Chat and Bing have slightly different ranking criteria, or what's even more likely is that Bing Search is tailoring its results to the user based on things like location, which Bing Chat might not be doing yet. All the sites being referenced in Bing Chat have good authority scores, meaning they have lots of good quality links from high authority websites. This is pretty unsurprising because if the tool is going to recommend content like this, it needs to be fairly sure that that content is reliable, and authority based on links is still a pretty good way to measure reliability. Another commonality that we see is that the formatting of the pages that are referenced tends to be very easy to understand. For example, they often feature an at a glance section at the top which summarizes the content on the page, or they have lists of recommended products like this, which include features in a sort of common format, which will make them very easy for the AI to understand. We have also noticed a slight preference in Bing Chat for US-based websites, although I would expect this is probably due to the tool being fairly early and that it will become more localized as time goes on. We also found some websites that consistently ranked well on Bing Search, but actually were very frequently, or in fact never, referenced in Bing Chat. Some of these sites, like The Telegraph, for example, which is a very high authority UK newspaper site, which often ranks for this type of recommendation content. Now, obviously, we don't know the reason for this yet, and Bing hasn't confirmed anything, but we are speculating that this is because some of these sites, like The Telegraph, use a paywall for some of their content, and either Bing doesn't want the potential legal wrangling that might come from giving searchers some of the information that should be paywalled in its chat, or that it considers sending searchers to a page that might be paywalled to be a bad experience. Obviously, we're continuing to study this and look for correlations. We will figure out how to get sites added as references in Bing Chat, Google Bard, and all of the other chatbots, and to get products recommended, of course. So stay tuned, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and as soon as we crack this, we will be sharing it with you. Now, I've got one more tip for you, but before we get to that, our advice is basically this. Continue to produce the best possible content that you can, and make sure that you are optimizing that content for the sorts of phrases that people are searching for. These chatbots are actually performing the same sort of searches that we have been used to optimizing for decades now. So if you're ranking content for those sorts of searches, you've got a much better chance of getting your website featured and your products recommended. Also, continue building your site's authority from links. It looks like prominent ranking websites are getting the advantage in the chat wars as well. So you want to make sure that your site is seen as a high authority by these chatbots. Use at-a-glance sections at the top of your content to summarize a longer piece. And if you're selling a product, make sure that you're getting it featured in the sort of websites that are being consistently referenced by these chatbots. One final tip, you can actually get your call to action, your next step, your lead capture offer recommended by the chatbots. Take a look at this. If you search for what is Exposure Ninja, it will give you some information. Then you might ask a follow-up question like, what is the process of working with them? Then notice how, because we always bang on about this incredible free website and marketing review that we offer, which you can get from exposureninja.com/review, because we always bang on about that, ChatGPT knows about this free review and will start pitching it in the answers. Look at what it's doing here. It's actually doing a fairly good job of making this pitch. So what you want to make sure you do is if you have a compelling call to action, if you have a free next step, which is very attractive to people, then make sure that you bang on about this. Make sure you feature this prominently on your website and on other pieces of content that you're publishing around the internet, because these chatbots will amalgamate all of that information. And if you're pushing something enough, they're going to mention it in their conversations with your searchers. Put them to work selling your business and getting people in through your marketing funnel. If you want some more advice on how to choose the perfect call to action, check out this video, which is going to show you exactly how to do it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Drop me a comment to let me know how much you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.